Unfiltered, the official Sunderland AFC podcast.
Welcome everyone to SAFC Unfiltered. Myself and Danny are back once again at the Academy of Light, and it's a hive of activity during at the end of a transfer window, so we're keeping ourselves to ourselves in our special room, and we're going to have a legend on the programme today, not a first team player but a former first team player and a former teammate of yours in the form of Julio Arca. Danny, looking forward to chatting to Julio?
Yeah, a great lad, Julio. You know, spent a couple of seasons with him here. Obviously, I've seen him a few times as well since around the place. And obviously, recently he was at South Shields, wasn't he? Managing them. But no, fantastic player. I think in the times back, it's a few years now, but what a player he was. Lovely left foot on him. One of those players, you give him a ball in a phone box with three defenders around him and he'd come out there with it. So, and I know he's well thought of by the Sunderland fans, and no, he was a fantastic player for the club. Yeah,
we're getting him on, of course, ahead of the game against Middlesbrough at the weekend. A fixture which all the North East football fans enjoy. You know, it's one of those. It's got a little bit of extra spice about it as well. And of course, Julio had some successful times there as well.
He did, yeah. After leaving ourselves, yeah, and joining Middlesbrough. He was there for a few seasons as well, wasn't he? I know. Listen, he had one or two injuries throughout his career, but when he was fit and he was playing, he was a fantastic player. And yeah, I remember he scored a great free kick actually down at the Riverside for us. I think it was a victory for us that day, 2-0 it might have been. But yeah, lovely left peg, as I mentioned there. And it'd be interesting to see his thoughts on the game. I'm sure he'll probably sit on the fence with this one.
Yeah, definitely.
Foot in both camps, isn't it? So he'll probably opt for the draw on that one. So let's see what he's got to say.
Hey, what did you make of the win against Stoke at the weekend, Danny? Back to winning ways, a home win for Michael Beale. That's going to mean a lot, isn't it, for everyone?
Yeah, I think especially after the disappointment against Hull, you know, where we had a lot of the ball, didn't we? A lot of possession, but didn't really do enough with it in the final third. But at the weekend, yeah, you know, 3 different goal scorers. Mason Burstow getting off the mark as well. Abdullah Bar, you know, contributing and having a good run out. So there's a lot of positives to come from it. Listen, Stoke had chances as well. On another day, they could have put 1 or 2 away, and it's a different outcome. But they never. We took our chances. 3 points on the board. You know, up to 7th again, and we're in a good place.
Okay, then let's go off and let Julio in the academy. And people might, if anyone's outside, thinking we've re-signed him, but we definitely haven't. We have re-signed him for SAFC Unfiltered. Let's go meet him. Welcome to SAFC Unfiltered, Julio Arca. Julio, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Very well. You two used to play together here, right, Danny?
We did indeed, yeah. Going back a fair few years now.
Yeah, a few years, yeah. And we did play together for a few years, yeah.
Yeah. We've got you on for a couple of reasons, Julio. One of the reasons is because you're a living legend around the North East, and you know, we've been trying to get former players on throughout the podcast series, so it's good that we can get you on as that. But also because we've got a big game at the weekend, a big game of North East football, and that is Middlesbrough versus Sunderland down at the Riverside. Of course, didn't go to Sunderland's plan in the last game with a 4-0 defeat, of course, as well. But with a foot in both camps, you're the perfect guest, Julio. So I hope you're all right with that.
I think as well, Frankie, we need to wish the man a happy birthday. It's his birthday.
Happy birthday, Julio.
Thank you. 1 year younger.
1 year younger, yeah. Are you doing anything to celebrate it later today?
I might just have a little meal with the family tonight.
Nice.
Yeah.
Why not? Are you still based in the North East at the moment?
Still around here, yeah. Still in Sunderland. So been here for a while. I went away for a few years and then came back, and we're looking to stay here. Hopefully for some time now.
Yeah. Are you looking to get back into football at the moment?
Yeah, I mean, it was a good experience, the one in South Shields. Just to see or just test to see what it's like to be a manager. It's a different job, you know. It's demanding. It requires you a lot of time. But it's always something that I want you to try. I'm still in the process of finishing my A license, so I'm not looking for anything now. So we'll see what comes up, if something comes up, and if I'm sure I'll do something else.
Yeah. So tell us about the differences being a manager to a player. Then you said you just mentioned some of the different demands. Are you a kind of manager who had to be the first one in, last one out, or were you quite modern in your approach to managing? Were you taking on advice from managers in your past and things like that? And do you look at people like Pep and modern managers for inspiration?
Yeah, I mean, as a manager, you have to approach anything with your own style, don't you? Every manager have their own style. Some managers like to play, from the back. Some managers like to play long, more aggressive. With the players, I think you have to update your system, be more modern. Because if you're trying to be like some managers used to be when we were playing, it doesn't work out now. You need to have conversation with the player. You need to understand. You need to know what's happening with their notions on the football side, outside the football side. If you need any help, and I think the more you speak with them and the more you get to know them, the more they can perform to you. When you get that relationship, obviously with a limit. That's why you have your assistant coach as well. He's the one that they get to know the players better, and then it's you after that. But yeah, I was trying to obviously make players comfortable, make players understand that the opportunity they have to be a footballer now is unique, because it only happened once, and if you don't take that seriously, then in a few years' time you can be doing something else, and then you regret. Because I saw many cases on my football career, great players not taking things seriously, and then time went past, and I should have done this, I should have done that, and it's no way back. So especially to young players, I was trying to pass that message, that they need to do things right and hopefully make a living of football. That's the main thing, that's the aim that you're looking at.
It's a dream, really, isn't
it? Well,
it
is, and if you can do it, regardless what level you do, and if you can make a living of football, do something that you like and get paid to do that, it doesn't happen too often. So yes, and on top of that, obviously, we would telling players to work hard, be professional and do the right things, regardless the level we would play. And I was Division 6. You still do the right things, every day. So yeah, it was a good experience. You got the pro, the cons. You get to know things that managers do that. They get to know. Or you get to speak with all the managers, and they can tell you do this, do that, but then when you get to meetings or you speak with the players, everything changes.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think you learning with time, you get more experience with time, like any other job, and then obviously you'll decide: do I want to do again? Do I go back, or I might do something else,
Yeah, Danny, you've just finished your A license, haven't you?
I have, yeah.
And so that this is something you maybe want to move towards a coaching career now. But it must be hard to adapt, because being a player, you have quite a luxurious kind of life, especially being Premier League players. You turn up for training, go to the games, but managerial jobs, it's, as Julio was saying, it's different demands.
Yeah,
but
I think
it's something you're interested in.
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah, you see the other side of it, don't you? Really, from, as you say, the coaches, managers getting in earlier, getting everything set up. As a player, you come in like the lads are probably in there now, having their breakfast, getting nice and relaxed, getting the omelettes, whatever, off the chefs.
Yeah,
get the boots on, trot out onto the training pitch. But it's all the prep work and everything that goes on behind the scenes, isn't it? With the numbers that need sorting out, who's taking which part of the session. Obviously with yourself, I know you had another former Black Cat there, Tommy Miller was with you, wasn't he, Tommy? Whether you allowed Tommy to take a lot of the session, you're watching the session from around the pitches, how much input you want to take in terms of that as well. And then, ultimately it comes down to what happens at the 90 minutes on the weekend, doesn't it, as well? It's all the hard prep work which goes on during the week. And then it all boils down to that 90 minutes on a Saturday afternoon.
And there's a lot about the team around you, because especially in a club the size of Sunderland, you've got whole stats guys, this whole department just analysing stats and things like that. That's the way the game's going, though, right?
Yes, obviously depending on what level you're coaching. Going back to the level we were before, we used to do everything. So you have to do your own analysis. You have to present the video to the players yourself. You have to do the coaching sessions yourself, and obviously your assistant coach. So everything has to be done by you, And then, like Danny say, you get early in the morning. You prepare. Well, you probably prepare the session, the day before, and then you make some difference or touches regarding the players that are available. Because some players will go 10 o'clock in the morning and say, "Oh, I'm not training today." So your session change, and then in 20 minutes you have to make changes. And then after training, you stay there, you watch games of the team you're going to play against, and then you go home and then night time he probably watch a bit more. So it's that it can be a long day.
Yeah.
And then obviously you have to be a father as well and a husband.
Yes, and also as a modern manager as well, you've got to deal with the fans on social media and the media itself.
Yes.
Is that quite a hard commitment as well? The media, I know obviously the level South Shields were at, but I imagine as you work your way through the leagues, that's a big role in itself, just taking care of the media.
I think the higher you go in the leagues, the more help you have. Yeah. So for example, here the lads need to do video analysis and they'll get to send to someone and they will show the video and manager might be there. He probably doesn't have to be there. And then, social media, everything is prepared for the manager so he doesn't have to worry about, things. But yeah, it's a lot to take on. Like Danny say, as a player, you should turn up, train, and then you go home.
Done by 1 o'clock, 1:30 at a
push. Yeah. As a manager, it's a demanding job, and that's why you need to try and you need to test, see what it's like, and then obviously if you want to do it again or not, because it's good. I mean, it's the closest to be a footballer.
Yes,
that's the thing. When you retire, that's the closest you're gonna have to be a footballer again, because you're in touchline,
in the dressing
you're feeling
room,
you're feeling everything there. You see the game so close. The adrenaline when you win is great, but then when you win, you only last less than 24 hours because you win on Saturday. On Sunday, you're already preparing the session for Monday. Yeah. Where the players win on Saturday and they get to enjoy that full week of we won. So it's a totally different thing, but if you don't do it, you don't know what it's like.
Yeah, and you played under some pretty famous managers as well at Sunderland and Middlesbrough as well. And which managers stand out for you as managers who really made an impression on your career?
Well, I mean, when I first came here, I was Peter Reid. I could not have a proper conversation with him because obviously the language restriction, but I could feel how passionate he was, and to be honest, how a big character he was in the changing room. And he didn't have to speak with the players all the time, but when he did speak, you could tell the players was taking everything on board. And then I have managers like Mick McCarthy, that he was good. Obviously, Danny played under him as well. He was really good. Tony Mowbray
and the England manager as well.
Tony Mowbray and Gareth Southgate. Yeah. All different managers, different personalities, but them managers I got on really well with them, and bits that you can take from them on the football side, on the personality side. Good managers.
Yeah, Danny, you must have played for some good managers in your time. So what kind of attributes does a good manager have to have?
Yeah, I think you say probably 20, 25 managers in my career, and as you say there, Mick, I'd put Mick certainly in the top three.
Why? What was it about Mick?
Man management, really. I think he had the good blend of you could mix with the lads. He'd like a laugh and a joke with the boys around the training ground, wouldn't he? When it was obviously time to go out on the training pitch and work for that hour and a half, 2 hours, however long you're out there, he wanted things doing right. Honesty from him. He'd pull the lads in to have a chat if he was leaving them out the side or making the changes, and he could get stuck into the lads at half time if he needed to as well, couldn't he? So he had a good blend in there, I think, Mick, and he was a good man. Management was perhaps his standout.
He's someone that you could see was black or white in a way. He won't lie to you, like it or not. He will go straight, and I think players respect that. I think when you say if you're a manager and few of the players not gonna be in your plans, and as soon as you get there, you tell them, look, nothing against you, it's not personally, but at the moment we got X amount of players that probably be in front of you, and I think the players obviously they won't like it, but going past few days they're gonna see that's fair. He was honest enough to tell me. And I think the players respect that, and he was one of them. Like it or not, he will tell you, what was going on. And I have a little issue with Mick because we have Howard Wilkinson before he came. I wasn't playing much on the Howard, and then Mick arrived, and I wanted to leave the club because I wasn't playing. I played, I think, only 4 or 5 games the season before. So I said to Mick, I'm leaving. It's no point. And then we have, a few conversations, and then he basically won me back. and I stay here, and I think I play more or less 40 games that season, and we done well. So yes, you could tell straight away that his personality and how straightforward he was.
Yeah, a good manager.
Yeah, I was just going to say, Julio, just taking it back there, and obviously how the move to Sunderland came about in the first place. Was right that Peter Reid was watching you playing for Argentina's under 20s against England at Craven Cottage.
Yeah,
and you must have done okay.
Yeah. We done okay that game. We drew 1-1. Thinking about that game, it was a lot English famous players. I mean, Frank Lampard, Shaw Cole. It was many of them there. Yeah. That when you watch again, he was there. Yeah. You could.
What about in the Argentinian squad?
Argentina was players that I think it was Coloccini. Wow. He was in Newcastle. It was another guy called Andres D'Alessandro. He was famous over there. He played for Portsmouth on the Harry Redknapp for I think 1 season. Yeah. And then we have all the other couple of players that they play in big teams in Europe. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that was the starting apparently. Peter Reid was there, or someone else from the club was there. Right. And then they followed me for I think 6-10 months. And then they make an offer.
How does it work? Because we're in the transfer window right now. Yeah. And I was going to ask your opinion on this, because what was it like? You get an approach from an English club, Sunderland. Had you heard of Sunderland?
No, not really.
Yeah. And then how fast is the process? And what do? Do you tell your parents and say, look, I've got an offer from an English club. Can I go? And then you follow it through. You land in Newcastle, I guess, and then you can't speak English. I mean, what happens? Have you got a translator? Just give us an example as a pro, because we've had a lot of foreign players come to Sunderland over the last couple of years. Some of them couldn't speak English, so it must be very hard.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we're going back 24 years ago, so things change now. I think the majority of the clubs get a lot of support to the players on the languages barrier, on supporting the family, the kids, schools, houses. When 24 years ago, you more or less have to do everything on your own, or you have 1 or 2 people trying to help you out. So when the offer arrived, I remember it was during the summer in UK, so it wasn't like January where it's a closed window. So the offer arrived, and more or less I have a week to think about it, because that's what the agent said to me. Look, they're looking for a player, blah blah blah, and then we need to make a decision in a week. On my mind, I will say, well, I go. I have no doubts about going, because I always want to come to Europe. Ideally, I want to go to Spain, because Spain at that time, it was probably one of the best leagues in Europe. And obviously the language and the culture will help me to adapt a lot quicker. But Sunderland, I have a look about Sunderland, where they were the season before. They done really well. They have some good players, international players. So I made my mind up. And then obviously my dad, being a footballer before, he said to me, yeah, we support you. Obviously for my mom, it was a bit harder, losing your kid, 18-year-old, to go to a different country. But she understood as well. So it took about, I will say, 4 or 5 weeks. I say yes, I came here for about a week or less. They show me everything around, the clue, and then I was waiting for my European passport, my Italian passport to be done, and then I have to go back home, and then I think after 4 or 5 weeks I came back, and then that was me here officially. And
can you remember when you first went in the dressing room at around 2000, wasn't it? So there'd be some big characters in there at the time, the Mickey Grays and Peter Reid and people like that. So what was it like, and did they make you feel at home?
Yeah, obviously as a young player you go there nervous. I was playing in the first team in Argentina, but never really play in front of so many people like I did in my first game. 48,000 screaming and shouting. So it was a big impact in a good way. And then sharing a changing room with players like you mentioned, Mickey Gray, it was Stefan Schwarz, Alex Ray, all youngish players, but really experienced players that play. I mean, Stefan Schwarz playing some of the best teams in Europe, And then you have many other players that they were playing for the national teams as well. So they made me feel welcome. Obviously, the language barrier was a little issue there. But then I have Emerson Tom that he could speak Spanish. Stefan Schwell could speak Spanish as well a little bit. So they were trying to help me out, And the football language, when you get in the field, it's like, it's easy. When you're there, it's easy. The problem is when you're out the field.
Yes.
Yeah. So do you think that is a poor excuse then, a language barrier thing in some cases for getting ideas across to players? You hear managers generally in football say, there's a language barrier there.
Yeah.
Football, it's an international language, right, Julio?
Yeah, it is. Yes. I mean, you only need a board, football board.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you can show everything to a player without speaking much. And to be honest, I didn't have that problem because I have a couple of lads that could translate for me. So they translate. I think what the manager wanted to obviously translate. Sometimes Peter Reid was getting too angry, so they had to avoid that. But no, he was even Peter Reid. He was trying. Adrian Heath, that he was his assistant manager, and Bobby Saxton. Adrian Heath is playing in Spain a little bit, so he was trying to speak Spanish a little bit on his the way he could, even with a dictionary in front sometimes. That's going back 24 years ago, So we didn't have these mobile phones where you can speak and translate. It was a dictionary. Julio, you need to do this. And you have to show me the word in there. But it was good.
Although touched on in the technical area with his dictionary.
Yeah. It was even the secretary. The secretary, I remember, used to be a lady called Tracy when we used to train in Charlie Hurley. And she was the only secretary in the club. Yeah, she used to do everything there. And every time I used to go and see her, open the door, she opened the dictionary and start like exchanging words. And that's how it worked before. She helped me out find an apartment. Obviously I didn't have any kids because I was only 18. But she was really helpful, and she could not speak a word in Spanish. But somehow we could communicate to each other.
Yeah, that's nice, isn't it, Danny? To see stories like that. And you obviously been in dressing rooms where foreign players have came in. You do your best.
You have to. Yeah, and obviously you can see that whether they're shy, nervous coming into the environment as well, but obviously the language barrier. And it's difficult for them, as you say, but you're right there, and I've heard it mentioned. Obviously, look at the squad we've got now with obviously Nazrai Rusin, Ukrainian, perhaps doesn't speak a lot of English. We've spoke to Doddsy, haven't we, and trying to get a few points across. But as Julio says, you've got the tactics board, you've got clips, everything you can show them, maybe what type of runs you want them to make, whether to drop in, whether to play on the shoulder, all that stuff can come from the meeting rooms, can't it? And the tactics side of things, if the language barrier is there as well. But obviously, last season when I bumped into you in the car park, Jefferson Bennett, he's just gone out on loan, hasn't he? But you were obviously
he's got to learn
helping
Greek
him out,
now.
weren't you?
Yeah, I know. I saw that.
Yeah, just about getting a few words of English in. Now he's got to go and learn some Greek.
No, Shewson is a great lad. Obviously, young player with a lot of potential. I saw him training and saw him playing a few games. And I understand, obviously, as a young player, you want to play. And I believe the club is supporting him. The club clarified that he's only going there temporary, and they want him back in the summer.
Get some game time, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's good. It's good that the club is doing that, because you give the player what he wants. That is game time. Hopefully he can perform, and then when he come back, he might create a good problem for the manager, because if he's doing really well, then the manager is going to have a look. And if then the club and himself going to have to work something out again.
Do you think that's a good move, though, Julio? Obviously going to another country rather than maybe perhaps staying here looking at a League One loan where he's in the British environment, really?
Yeah.
Or how do you see that one?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know much about the Greek league, but for what I know, it's different than the English leagues. I don't think it's as pacey, as aggressive as the leagues are here. The main thing is for him to go and play. Because if you're going to go abroad, move abroad to, again, different place, different languages, and you're not playing, then you don't do any favors to yourself. So I guess he must go there because he knows that he's going to get the game time that he wants.
Go on.
I was going to bring it back to Julio and just ask about some of what was his best memories playing for Sunderland over the years? Can you remember any particular goals or games which stand out for you?
Well, my first season was good here. I was lucky to score my debut. So obviously that helped a lot on the confidence
you very
side.
quickly became a fan favourite as well, Julio.
Yeah,
That must have felt nice, did it?
Yeah, it felt great, to be honest. Can't complain about that. And especially when I was just starting, get that support from the fans, because if you start on the wrong foot, then your confidence can just drop very quick. Luckily, I started well. I was lucky to get in the team straight away, not in my position, but as a left wing, and I scored the goal. And then the next few games I played, and the performance were good. The team was doing well as well, so that helped as well, because that season we finished 7th, like the season before. So it was a good season overall for me and for the team and for the fans. And then through the seasons in here, I have ups and downs. But, winning obviously the championship when we won with Mick McCarthy, that was something that as a player you obviously looking to do. So I was good.
Would that be your favourite season at the club? I'm just looking obviously at the stats.
Yeah.
42 games that season as well, because I know you had 1 or 2 injuries, didn't you? Stop-start at times in your career. But that season, 9 goals and 42 appearances.
Yeah. On the Mick, I think I played the most of the games.
Yeah.
I think the first season, I can't remember if it was definitely above 35 games, and then the second season I played more. So yeah, as a player, when you're active, you feel fit, you feel stronger, mentally you're feeling better than when you're playing, 4, 5, 10 games a season. It's just, you gotta be depressed in a way,
Yeah, I bet. And Danny, you had some questions about Julio's positioning at his time.
No, you mentioned it there, that you're playing left wing. I know obviously you played a lot of games at left back as well. I think when Middlesbrough you went and played at centre midfield as well, didn't you? Favourite position, really? I know
left back.
Really? Yeah.
I always, I could play in different positions, but left back is a position that I felt I could play till I was 40 years old.
Yeah.
It's a position that I knew that well since young age.
Yeah.
It's good to have everything in front of you, and you could go forward when you want.
But it's such a crucial position now in the modern game, isn't it? The wing backs, if you like.
Yeah, because now managers, changing system. Normally, when I was playing, it was a 4-4-2 here in UK.
Yeah.
In Argentina, it was a 4-4 diamond with a number 10 and then 2 on front. So it wasn't many systems, where now it's so many systems that managers ask fullbacks to go really, really high. You can become a striker more or less on the attacking side. So, but that position, I like it. Yeah. I came here, obviously Mickey Gray was playing, he was the captain, so they pushed me up in front of him.
In front of Mickey, yeah.
And then I ended up having more or less my career as a left wing in Sunderland. Then he left, I play a little bit of left back on the Mick, and then George McCartney start playing left back, so we more or less make a good partnership in there. And then when I went to Middlesbrough, I signed as a left back because Frank Quadruc, that he was a French lad, he left. And then done all the pre-season, first game, broke my toe, so I was out for 2 months. And I think Andrew Taylor, young player, went to play left back, and then we were short of midfields. And that's how I ended up playing
going in there,
centre midfield. It's not an easy position to play. It's a hard position, quite demanding on the physical side, demanding on the awareness. As a left back, as I say, you only look in this way and that way. As a midfield, it's just everywhere. It is hard.
So you got a bit of sympathy for Dan Neil, Pierre Ekman, Job at the moment then for Sunderland?
Yeah. Well, as a midfield, people don't realise you need to know. I mean, as a player, before you receive the ball, you need to know what you're going to do. But as a midfield, it's even quicker. You need to think quicker than other players around the field, because, you lose the ball in the centre midfield, you can create a chance for the other team to more or less go against your defence. So it's a hard position, enjoyable because you get to touch the ball all the time, more or less. But it's physical, demanding. You have to defend, you have to get in the other box to try to score. So to be a complete midfield, it's hard.
Yeah. I was going to say, obviously, when you went going to Middlesbrough, I think you were Gareth Southgate's first signing as a manager there, weren't you? How did you find him? I know he's obviously early in terms of his managerial career.
Yeah.
How did you find Gareth? Obviously, the England fans that'll be listening.
No, I found him. It was only his start in Korea as a manager, so he have a lot of people like helping him out, and it wasn't easy for him because he went from being a player to be a manager. So from one season to the other. So imagine like managing the players you play with. It's not easy.
Yeah,
I remember
difficult.
he used to travel from. I think they used to live in Harrogate, some of them. So he used to travel together. 4 or 5 of them.
Yeah.
And then he could not travel with them anymore.
Because awkward, a bit awkward, isn't it? I think
it's like, so I guess it wasn't easy for him to like saying, or leaving the partnership he had when he was playing out of the team if he have to. So it's some hard decisions for him. But so he did really, really well. And as a person, he was like, again, very honest, nice, well communicated with the lads. He always had time for the players. He was a player before, so he knew what the players want,
Yeah, and can you see why he's been a success at England because of his attributes?
Yeah, definitely. And I was glad to see him doing so well. I know expectations in here in England are always high. And if you reach a semi-final, it's not good enough. If you get in the final and you get beat, it's not good enough.
But he's got us as close as anyone.
Exactly. But that's what I mean. When you look at the full picture, has anyone done what he done? No. So, obviously unlucky to lose some key games, even the last World Cup. They have a great chance. But that's football, it happens. But I saw he did really well, bringing young players as well to the national team.
Something stuck by that, isn't it?
Changing the style of always rely on the experienced players.
Yes.
It always was, we rely on Gerrard, on Lampard, on here and there. Yeah. Where he said, no, let's give the chance to young players. And young players, they did perform for him. And they brought something else to the national team. Pace, energy, goals. So what he's done is good. I know he's saying that we'll probably be leaving after the Euros, and then he might be looking to get into the Premier League or a Premier League team. So, but yeah, he's a great coach, I think, and he's a very good person as well.
Yeah, goes a long way, doesn't it?
It does indeed, yeah. And obviously somebody else recently departed from Sunderland, Tony Mowbray, somebody else you worked with at Middlesbrough. Tony's character, similar to Mick McCarthy, would you say, or where would you put Tony?
Yeah, Tony, I would say, probably Mick could, or I don't know what Mick is now, but he could lose his temper a little bit more.
Tony not so much.
Tony, no, not really. Tony is calm.
Good cop, good cop, bad cop. Tony's the good cop, yeah.
Well, put it that way, maybe. But Tony was good. I mean, he always have the same style of football. When I was in Middlesbrough with him, he tried to play the same style. Here, obviously, he worked really, really, really well. It's a style that I don't think many fans saw before in Sunderland Football Club. Normally Sunderland had a style of being more direct, being more aggressive, trying to get in the other box as quick as you can. Where Tony changed the style of building up, trusting between players, and I believe in that system. I enjoy watching that system, especially when it works. And I did enjoy many games Sunderland play on the Tony.
Yeah, let's talk about Sunderland then. What have you made of them this season? Obviously, we just mentioned in Tony, who's no longer at the club. We got Michael Beale now, and the club are expecting the team to kick on under Michael Beale. Good win last time out for Sunderland, and I guess that wins breed wins, and it's all about getting back to that momentum, isn't it? Because that's such an important thing in football, isn't it?
Well, going back to expectations, if you look at last season, I think Sunderland went above expectations, and that's why fans get a bit disappointed now. But I mean, Sunderland coming from League One to nearly go promoted, that was a massive task for the manager, for everyone. So obviously, when you put yourself so high up, then the season after is like, well, we can't be any lower than that. Yeah. We have to go high again. And the Championship this season, having a look at the teams that are playing in that league, is really, really hard.
Tough.
It's a tough league.
Yeah,
If you put, it probably is one of the hardest leagues to play in Europe. I will say. When you compare with like Turkey and Greece and Scotland and other leagues around here, it's a hard league, hard teams, so it's not an easy league to get out of. But obviously, on the fans' point of view, they want to see the team getting promotion. Obviously, with a new managers need time, and it's a process. You can't just change things like that straight away in a matter of weeks. Managers need time. I understand that results obviously keep people happy or not, but it's a process.
Yeah, looking at the league as well, you touched upon it. The teams above us at the moment: Coventry, West Brom, Leeds, Southampton, Ipswich, Leicester.
Yeah.
They're all really strong sides, aren't they?
Yeah, and if you look down as well, it's many. Middlesbrough is down there.
Yeah, they're only 3 points behind us, but they're down in
3 points
11th,
behind with a game in hand.
Yeah.
So obviously for them it's a massive game, as big as the game is for Sunderland on Sunday. But one win, I think from Coventry till position 13, it's only 4-6 points. Mm-hmm. So a couple of wins can get you in the playoff, and then you out and you in, and it's all season like that. It never changed, apart from probably the top two, they might go a bit further up. But it's a competitive league, and it was always been competitive. When we were there, it was
exactly
competitive,
that, wasn't it?
never changed.
Yeah. No, it's a difficult one, as you say, and then you look at those teams and the expectation levels from the fans. A lot of those teams have been in the Premier League, haven't they? And obviously the teams that have come down last season, they're right up there amongst it. You're looking at Leicester, they'll go back up, and then there's 3 or 4 perhaps nailed on at least for playoffs.
Yeah.
Ipswich have had a great season like us last season, coming back up. They've kicked on again. Everybody's waiting for them to drop off, but they're still right amongst it. Pressure on them from Southampton. But yeah, from our point of view, we're in 7th. We had a good win at the weekend. Big one coming up against our localist rivals. The old Derby shout, I know, comes out, doesn't it? But yeah, and we owe them one, don't we, after that 4-0 defeat at the Stadium of Light earlier in the season as well.
Yeah, that wasn't an odd one, though, because we were in good form at the time. Dan Neil gets sent off
just before half-time.
Just before half-time, the game changed, didn't it?
I think, I thought Sunderland was more or less in control of the first half.
Yeah.
They were playing well, they were creating chances. They probably should have gone ahead.
Yeah.
And then you lose a man right, at half time.
It was such a weird sending off as well.
It was,
Jared Gillett, the referee, because of
Yeah.
something Dan said to her. I mean, that must happen in every game, right, guys?
Yeah, of course it does, yeah.
But that's changed now, and it's a bit like, I'm not enjoying that part much of not having the chance to speak with the referee. Only one person can go there. If you put your hands up, you get booked. If you do this, you get booked.
If you breathe, you get booked.
First tackle, you get booked. It's just everything's just changing so much. Where before you could feel the game just flow a little bit more. I'm not saying letting people kick each other, but just like let the game go a little bit more. Now it's just too many scenes. The game is stop and go all the time. Obviously, we have the VAR system as well. So it's a bit hard to be a footballer, and sometimes you have to be careful. Should I go for the tackle? Should I not? Because that's the way it is at the moment. You could get just a yellow card for nothing sometimes. Well, before, you could see some tackles, you could be people, fighting, and it's just different now.
Yeah, what about Middlesbrough under Michael Carrick?
Yeah.
Starting to click a bit.
Yeah.
Unfortunate in the cup, maybe, but he sticks to his philosophy, doesn't he, Michael Carrick? He likes to play a certain way.
Yeah.
And he stuck to it at Chelsea, didn't he, as well?
Well, obviously pay the consequences against Chelsea, but because you're playing against a bad team, quicker, faster thinking, so to do what he likes to do, it's probably harder to do against bad teams. But look, I respect him that he stick with his philosophy, and that's the way I'm going to play, and I'm not going to change it regardless. Up to now, he's done well in the league. They're not far away from the playoff. With a game in hand, as I say. Yes, they seem to win a game and then lose 2 and then win 3 and then lose or draw. So they haven't got that consistency of getting 4, 5, 6 games without getting beat.
Which is pretty much where Sunderland are at the moment as well.
So it's hard to find that consistency in their league, but they're still there.
They've got a couple of injuries recently as well.
Yeah.
Jones is out injured, I think, for the weekend,
Yes.
which is good for Sunderland, but bad for them. Because he's a great player, isn't he?
I mean, they still got a big squad. They got a massive squad. But I'm sure they're going to have someone to obviously replace him, and hopefully we see an entertaining game on Sunday.
Yeah, what are you anticipating, Danny, on Sunday?
Yeah, quite a fiery game. Got to go back to back if we can, haven't we? Get on a run, as you mentioned there. It's not trying to win 2, lose 1. Getting on a little consistent run where you're going 5-6 games unbeaten, whether it's 3-4 wins and a couple of draws. Keep the momentum going, as you say. There's 4 or 5 teams pretty much sorted, I think, in those playoffs, with Leeds and the ones above. And then from West Brom down, it's still all up for grabs and still a lot of football to be played. And if you're one of those teams that can go on a good run now, like we did back in the day, didn't we? When you get on that run there and you kick on, momentum's with you, and you go on and can we be one of those teams to take that 6th or 7th place? Not 7th place, 6th or 5th place.
And another full week on the training ground for Michael Beale as well, with possible incomings as well.
Yes.
A lot can change in a couple of days.
Yeah, well, I obviously signed a left back now.
Yelda.
And they probably sign a few other players. I think Sunday game will be a tactical game. 2 teams playing the same style, more or less. Who's gonna press better? Obviously, when they're playing from the back. Who's gonna put an aggressive pressure to win the back, or you're gonna sit back and you let them play? So it's gonna be tactics here and there. And I think the ones that get the tactics right or spot on, they're probably gonna have more chances to win the game. I believe.
A word on a left-sided player at Sunderland AFC at the moment, Jack Clark. He's having a great season. What do you make of Jack as a player?
Yeah, Jack has been consistent. He's one of the key players in the team. Sometimes the team rely too much on him, but look, he's someone that can take that pressure. And when you give time and space, he creates a lot of troubles to other teams. Obviously, teams start to get to know him, and they probably, instead of putting one on him, they put like double marker. So if you go past him, I have another one like Newcastle did. Because teams have the luxury of watching games and watching clips and studying the teams that you're playing against. So, but look, he's a young player with a lot of energy. He can score goals, from any position. And he's been a key, and he seemed to be. He seemed to have this confidence high enough to score at any game.
Yeah. Okay. Were you going to mention something there?
Any more positions we need to strengthen in the next 24 hours? It runs till tomorrow, doesn't it? The window, I think 11.
11 o'clock tomorrow, the first. Yeah. So where do you think Sunderland need to strengthen then? Would you say?
Well, I mean, looking at them again, it's just regardless. It's just depending on what system the manager is looking to play, or what he got in mind. For what I see the last few games, I didn't see many runs in behind, especially in the front. So we seem to play from the back, and it's good. Then you pass the first, the first defensive line from the other team, and then when you get into the midfield, we seem to looking to have the ball on the feet all the time.
Play in front of the team.
So sometimes when you start mix it up, I'm not saying launch the ball and wish for the best, but I'm just saying start playing balls in behind where strikers can be effective. Then you may teams sit back a little bit because they don't want to have that big gap between defense, back four and keeper. And that's when you have more time to play from the back. But if you start doing all the time the same, then you attract pressure all the time, don't you?
Yeah, of course.
So that's, I think, something that I noticed, that if you have that mix of being aggressive on runs in behind, could make the team a lot stronger.
Yeah, and do you think Sunderland already have that player then, Danny?
Well, yeah, something I've mentioned on comms, isn't it, a few times. I think we're a good footballing team. Often I think we play too much football in front of the opposition, where the opposition's defence is happy, everything's happening in front of them. I think we actually tried it a little bit more at the weekend against Stoke in the first 20 minutes or so. Runs were there, maybe it didn't come off, but you could see they were looking to do that. But yeah, as you say, I think that's what we need to look for a little bit more. And well, obviously Mason Burstow got his first goal, so he'll grow in a little bit of confidence from that, because it's obviously been a long time coming for him, and he's been in and out of the team as well. The other young lads as well, the other young strikers on the bench waiting for their opportunities, have got to take them along when they come as well. But yeah, something I think we can look to do a little bit more. But me and Julio aren't in the
not the dugout.
coaches set up.
Not yet. The class of Mick McCarthy in the dugout too. Well, Michael Proctor's is there at the moment, so who knows what.
Everything look easy from outside, but obviously something that you notice, I noticed, and I spoke with people that they noticed that.
Yeah. Okay then. Final question then, Julio. Prediction for the weekend.
Well,
You're going to say draw, aren't you? Because
Yeah,
you don't
I
want
have
to
to,
annoy
yeah.
Middlesbrough fans.
He's going 1-1 all day.
Yeah. 1-1 would be a terrible result for each side.
it's one of
wouldn't
them games where, like, as I say, going back to what I said before, tactics. If just two teams sit back and let them play and just monitoring what they're doing, it could be a probably 0-0. So it depends how aggressive the teams will be. I know the two teams are looking for a win because they need to keep themselves close to the playoff. I know Sunderland are a bit higher than Middlesbrough. Well, I have to say a draw.
Good answer, Julio. Thanks so much for coming on SAFC Unfiltered, and we'll see you again soon.
No
Cheers,
problem.
Julio.
Thanks very much.
Julio Arca speaking to us here on SAFC Unfiltered. Lovely chap. We've spoken to him a couple of times on the preview program on the stream, haven't we? He's been pitch side with us a couple of times, and obviously you know him from your time in the dressing room with him at Sunderland. Lovely guy, and he's still got a passion for football, and it'd be good to see him return to the game, wouldn't it?
Yeah, you can see it there. Obviously, his chat not just from his playing days, but his early days in managing, and his experiences with South Shields there. And I think, has he got a future in the game? Chatting to him there, the way he's thinking about football, I think he's looking at his mindset now. He wants to go into it and try and make a go of it in his managerial career. So it'll be interesting to see how he goes. Still a young man, obviously 43-year-old today, like myself. So a long time ahead of us there. But no, I think he knows the game well, playing it a lot of years, hasn't he? And he's got good experience both on and off the pitch. So I wish him well moving forward with his coaching managerial career.
Yeah, big game at the weekend for Sunderland, for Middlesbrough as well, really. Yeah. Both footballing sides. Win for a good game.
Yeah, I think so. And first up, you look at, we mentioned it there on the pod with Middlesbrough coming up to the stadium earlier in the season and picking up 3 points in the manner of it as well, really, wasn't it? With, we mentioned Dan Neil getting sent off just before the break, but we sort of collapsed really in that second half. Maybe tried to take them on as we did in the first half, where we were probably the better side, tried to carry on playing our open, expansive football, and we got picked off. With us being a man short, really. So, the boys would have learned from that. And you always ask me, don't you, as well, when you've had a defeat against the side and then you're playing them in that second game of the season, is it still in the back burner, so to speak? And it is in the memory. And, the lads, Dan Neil and the other boys will, I'm sure, mention it in the change rooms before they go out at the weekend. Listen, we owe these one. Localist rivals, really. We said there, is it a derby? Isn't that
it's a big game.
Debate always goes on. It's a big game, and they're sat just behind us in the league. The first thing you're concentrating on is going down there and can we come away with the 3 points, or certainly a point, worst case. And we're more than capable. They've had a mixed season themselves. They had a slow start. They picked up well under Michael Carrick. They've had a decent cup run. A bit of a hiding down at Stamford Bridge, didn't they, in the second leg? How will they react from that? And coming up against ourselves. But as you say, there will it be a case of both sides going toe to toe? We like to try and press high and get off the sides. I think they do as well. Or will we be a little bit more cautious, sit off them a little bit more, allow them to have some of the ball and try and pick them off in the counter attack? We'll have to wait and see.
We will wait and see. Remember to subscribe to SAFC Unfiltered on all your favourite podcasting platforms, and we'll be back very soon, I'm sure.